Welcome to VGK Today, a daily podcast providing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Monday, May 5th, as the VGK continue to ramp up ahead of their second round series with the Edmonton Oilers, which is set to begin on Tuesday at 6:30 Pacific Time from T-Mobile Arena. Between the Vegas and Edmonton rivalry, the McDavid and Eichel storyline coming into focus again, and really just all of the star players on both teams, this is perhaps the most highly anticipated series of the second round. Yesterday, we heard from Nick Hague, who, of course, was a part of that series in 2023 when these two teams met in round two as well. But today, we'll get a fresher perspective from one of the newer Golden Knights. After the break, Ashali Vise catches up with Noah Hanifin as they chat about the second round. Well, Golden Knights fans, if you want your football fix this spring, be sure to head over to Lee's Family Forum and check out the Vegas Nighthawks. Nighthawks with a big win over the Northern Arizona Wranglers on Saturday night, and they are back at Lee's Family Forum next Saturday to welcome the San Antonio Gunslingers. Visit nighthawksfootball.com for tickets and information. Also want to remind you that you can check out the official VGK mobile app. That is the easiest way to keep up with the team during this Stanley Cup playoff run. Plus, fans with the app will have the chance to win tickets to select playoff games. So be sure to download it today for Apple or Android.
With Noah Hanifin. Noah, how are you spending these couple of days between series here?
Yeah, it's been nice just to recover a little bit and relax. A few good days in here, just going over the next series and getting meetings in. But I think anytime you can get some rest this time of year is important. So just trying to take advantage of these days because we know it's going to be busy coming up.
Speaking of the next series, what was your initial reaction to Edmonton being the opponent in round two?
Yeah, it's exciting. I think for us, obviously, we know Edmonton's a really good team, and they're one of the best teams in the league. And going to the Cup last year, we know it's going to be a tough challenge for us. But I think we're excited for the opportunity, and just to get going on home ice will be huge. So I think that the group's pretty excited about it.
So you were not here during the 2023 run, during that second round series with Edmonton, but you know them very well, especially, for one, you have played them in the playoffs, and B, just between the Battle of Alberta rivalry. How would you explain that rivalry and what stands out to you about them as a team?
Yeah, I think, going way back, in Calgary, it was a pretty intense rivalry, and losing them in the playoffs a couple of years ago was tough. But they're a good team, and obviously being in Edmonton, a Canadian market, it's a big deal up there, and it's a lot of fun playing on the road up there. So it should be pretty intense, and I think obviously for this team over the last couple of years, they've formed a great rivalry with them, and beating them a couple of years ago, it should be a good test here coming up for us, and we're looking forward to it. What
was kind of the chatter around the locker room amongst guys who were here during that second round series in 2023 about what this rivalry has become?
Yeah, I think just talking to some of the guys, they all say it was probably the hardest series that they went about in that playoff run. So we know it'll be tough. It'll be a challenge, and obviously with this group beating them, I'm sure they're going to try to come out and set the tone a little bit, but it should be exciting. You got to go through good teams to get to the end goal, and Edmonton's in the way for us. So, like I said, we're really excited for the opportunity.
How are they a different team now than they were 2, 3, 4 years ago?
They've always been good, but I think a few years ago they relied more on their top guys. I think now they have a lot more depth, and they're spreading it out a little bit more, which can be tough. Obviously, depending on the situation of the game, they can put their top players on the ice, but anytime you can get depth scoring and that bottom six that's contributing to their team, I think that makes it for more of a challenge for us. But I think our strongest asset as a team is our depth, so it should be a good challenge.
What is this matchup like for a defenseman?
It'll be tough. Obviously, they got some really good forwards and offensive ability. A little bit different than Minnesota. That was more of a forechecking heavy team. I think these guys are more of a rush team and can create a lot of offense out of nothing. So I think as a decor, we just got to be tight, keep our gaps good, just the things we worked on all year, but you just got to raise the level.
We've seen Bruce Cassidy and John Stevens mix up the D pairs for different reasons at different times. I'm curious, how are things different for you when you're paired with Alex Pietrangelo versus when you're paired with Zach Whitecloud, knowing that we could see both of those during the series?
I think it just depends, like you said, on the situation. I think sometimes when I'm with Petro, I think it's we can create some offense out there and look to contribute depending on the situation of the game. I think when I'm with Whitey, just more not shut down pair, but we know what our responsibility is. Just be hard against top players and make sure keeping the puck out of the net. And for me, I'm super comfortable playing with both guys. They're both great teammates and great players. So I think that's it's helpful that we can kind of go in that direction if we need to.
You mentioned depth, but what else did round one teach you, not only about where your team is at, but also what more you have to give as this run continues?
Yeah, it's anytime you go through a battle like that in the first round, you realize how hard it is just to get to the end, and it's not easy. I think for us, getting some of our depth scoring at big times, big moments, I think that was huge for our whole team. Just the confidence we have in everybody, no matter what the situation is, we can put guys out there and know we're going to contribute. So I think that was really important for our group. And obviously towards the end of the series, our top guys up front really stepped up and took over. And that was something we needed at that time of the series. So I think it was a good learning experience for us, and it was a good battle, which sets you up for the rest of the playoffs.
Well, Noah, good luck here in round two, and thank you so much for doing
Thanks,
this.
Ash.
Great chat there between Ashali and Noah. And while Noah isn't as ingrained in this Vegas-Edmonton rivalry, he is well accustomed to having some animosity toward the Oilers from his time in Calgary and, of course, the Battle of Alberta. So hopefully a bit of a familiar feeling for Noah as he and the Knights look to take down Edmonton for the second time in 3 years this postseason. We'll step aside once more, and when we return, we'll get some more thoughts from Bruce Cassidy from his chat with the media on Sunday, as well as recap the wild Game 7 between the Jets and the Oilers. Well, Golden Knights fans, with another series upon us here in round 2, this time against the Edmonton Oilers. If you want to be a part of it, always be sure to check out VegasGoldenKnights.com, because there will be limited number of tickets still available at the Fortress for some of these home games. And if you want to experience playoff hockey at T-Mobile Arena, again, visit VegasGoldenKnights.com to learn more. And of course, with more road games on the horizon, that also means some more watch parties. Don't have the official details quite yet on plans for games 3 and 4 at the very least, but stay tuned for details on some of those watch parties, and as always, you can head over to VegasGoldenKnights.com for information on those as well. Okay, here's some of what Bruce Cassidy had to say to the media on a Sunday, and a lot of it revolved around how to stop Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
They tend to mix their lines up during the game quite a bit. Like whatever they show at the beginning, it can be different by 2, 3, 4 shifts in. Like how difficult can that make it to coach against that?
Well, it depends. And I'll say this, I'm not a huge line match guy, so for me it's not going to change a lot of what we're going to do. There are exceptions to every rule. They have a couple of players that are exceptions to the rule. So you're keeping an eye on that. No disrespect to the rest of the group, but those guys are MVPs of the league, right? So you have to be mindful when they're coming over the boards to try to sort of get the matchup you'd prefer. Not always going to happen. So that's how I'd look at it. If it's, if the fourth line left winger drops or moves up, and you know what I mean? Like in some of those things, again, I don't think you can mess with your chemistry over. You got to pick your spots to do that, because your players get affected, right? They know, and sometimes it's, well, he doesn't trust me to do this. And I think in the playoffs, so you should have the players trust that you're doing it for a reason. But in season, a lot of times you're explaining those things because of that. So I've just felt I don't like to lose the rhythm of our team as much as anything. Like I said, Edmonton presents different challenges because of those two players when they're together and when they're apart.
Does the same go for the blue line and way you would match or not match?
A little bit. We went into this series. We moved Hanny and Hager with Petro in and out for different reasons. Comfortable with both. Both added different. Like Hanny and Hager are different players, right? So they add a different element for Petro. But we'll do it from time to time, and you'll probably see that this series at times.
You mentioned the different challenges. What are the different challenges when McDavid and Draisaitl are together versus when they have them separated?
Well, you've got two guys that play a terrific two-man game, so full alert. But that probably means they're going to the bench together. So it's time to make hay against the rest of the lines if you feel you have the depth advantage, right? And I think was a bit of the story 2 years ago, if I remember correctly. Of course, I might not be, but I think when they're on the ice together, it's fun to watch if you're a fan. And you got to make sure that you have your ducks in a row how you want to defend, right? And that's the biggest challenge, because one little slip up and away they go. So I don't know if they'll be together. They look like they're playing together. Is that because the rest of their lines are better balanced now and they trust that they can keep things level and even gain an advantage, I don't know. We'll see, because they've got some new players in their lineup. So I'm only going by what I saw at the LA series, and they may decide to match up differently against us, right? From series to series, you never know. So that's kind of the, I guess the word fun part of the year as a coach. I enjoy that part of it, the kind of the back and forth where you got to make your adjustments, what's going to happen next, try to think ahead without upsetting your guys, etc. So, but anyway, that's how I see it with them, and we'll see how it plays out. I'm sure you'll see both, quite honest with you.
Felt like the 23 series was the step that Jack took to be the 200-foot player against Connor. Did you feel it that way at the same time? Yep, I do. I think anytime you're playing against those two guys, you're on the spotlight of how you defend. It's just the way it is. It's like playing against McKinnon and Makar, right? When those guys are drivers, and it's a forward and a D, but still, same sort of challenges. And if you can get it done, you're going to get you should get a pat in the back, because it's not easy. And you got to be willing to do it. You got to have the ability to do it. Like one thing Jack, I think, showed the world, he can skate, and he's strong enough to check against those elite players. We use Carlson a lot too. That helps. It's not one guy the whole time. So that'll be what we'll look to do again. We have two great defensive center amongst other players, but two guys that really do it well. And I thought they did that series for the most part. I mean, if you look back, didn't Draisaitl have 4 goals the first game? So I'm not going to sit here and say we did a great job, but as the series got better, we did a better and better job, I guess is how I look at it.
He had 6 in the first 2 games, by the way.
6.
Yeah, and then he had.
Is that all?
None after that.
But they lost the first game.
Yeah.
So you could have 10 if you lose, right? I guess I'm looking at the glass half full. We found a way to win, even though we got 4 goals. That's probably a night of not getting any sleep as a coach. But you're still trying to enjoy the moment. But man, this guy just got 4 goals. We got to do a better job. But anyway, I digress.
But that's kind of what I wanted to ask you, because when you were answering before, you were like, if I remember right, and I'm curious what your institutional knowledge is and how much that plays into it, right? Like almost like a book, right, that a catcher or a hitter has on a pitcher. Do you have a book, and can you call on it when you go into a series like this?
Well, I'm going to use that series. Whatever worked for us to our advantage. I think we'll start delving into it more as it goes along. I think you can't overreact to game 1. I don't know. Their lines could be completely different. They finished with Pickard. Is it Skinner? There's so many. They could change pairs because they like a certain matchup. So, give the guys something to work off of, and let's go to work. I always believe after game 1, okay, now I've seen a little more of it's real. Let's go. And then I think we'll look back on some of that more. But yes, I'm thinking back to different ways that we tried to control their top guys. We had a tough time with their power play early. As it went along, we took some things away, I thought, that helped us kill better. So yes, and we'll look at that. Now, they've changed a bit of that, where their structure, their PP, yet there's still a lot of the same guys on it. So I'll be curious to see how that goes. They obviously scored against LA and did a good job, and LA kills completely different us. So we can't take that template, even if it went well. They're very aggressive. We're a little more zone-oriented type of thing. So, but those are a couple examples. But yes, we'll go back and look at it. We might even pull up video on it as coaches. It might get to that. But it kind of depends how we're doing, right? You don't want to go back and mess with a good thing either. And we've got some people that have changed in our lineup too there. But we do have a lot of the same decor and the same goalies. So some of that defensive zone coverage, my guess, will be revisited.
The Knights will certainly have their hands full with the top-end talent of the Oilers, but Vegas will aim for similar success to the kind that they had 2 years ago. Before we wrap things up, just want to quickly recap the Game 7 that we got on Sunday night between the Jets and the Blues. Now, the entertainment standard was set high for this game after Saturday's Game 7 between Dallas and Colorado. After being down 2-0 in the third period, the Stars scored 4 times, including a Mikko Rantanen hat trick against his old team to shock the Avalanche and win Game 7 on home ice. So then looking at yesterday's game from Winnipeg in front of the whiteout, it was a tough start for Winnipeg. The Blues were riding high after that blowout win in Game 6 to force this Game 7, and they picked up right where they left off in Game 6. St. Louis scored on their first shot of the game coming from Jordan Kyrou. That was quickly followed up by a goal from Matthew Joseph 6 minutes later as St. Louis jumped out to a 2-0 lead and continued to raise those major questions about Connor Hellebuck's postseason play as the likely Vezina winner's postseason slump continued early in Game 7. Now the Jets stabilized, however, and got back within one in the second period on a goal from Cole Perfetti, though the 2-goal lead was restored later in that period as Radek Faksa struck for St. Louis. Now, fast forward to the final 2 minutes of this game. Hellebuck on the bench for the 6-on-5 attack for the Jets, and needing 2 goals to tie the game, the Jets had to work quick, and they got their first tally with 1:56 to go from Vlad Namestnikov. Now, within one, it was a full-on press from the Jets to try to save their season. And in their last gasp, a couple of crisp passes rink-wide end up in front as Cole Perfetti struck again on a redirect goal with just a couple of seconds remaining to force overtime. An insane atmosphere in Winnipeg as that goal goes through, and a shocked Blues team that then had to reset for some extra time. After the stalemate then continued into second overtime after nobody scored in the first, we finally got a winner, as it was Jets captain Adam Lowry scoring on a double deflection to beat Jordan Binnington and complete the historic comeback for the Jets. And now Winnipeg gets ready to host Dallas to start the second round. Now, a couple of stats I want to run through here. There was a great stat brought up on the TNT broadcast by Kenny Albert, and saw it further circulated online as well. 3 times in NHL history had a team overcome a multi-goal deficit in the third period of a Game 7. 3 times that has happened in NHL history, overcoming a multi-goal deficit in the third period of a Game 7 to win. That was until this weekend, when it happened on back-to-back days with the comebacks by Dallas and Winnipeg. Talked about the Stars and that 4-goal third period they had. They get it done for the 4th instance in NHL history. And the Jets, with their couple of late goals in Game 7 and their eventual winner by Adam Lowry, make it the 5th instance in NHL history. That is just unreal action over the weekend, and I think that stat says it all. Something that has happened 3 times in over a century of NHL hockey happens twice in as many days. Simply absurd stuff in the NHL this weekend. Now, some other nuggets from that Winnipeg game, courtesy of Sportsnet stats. That Cole Perfetti late tying goal, well, that's the latest one in a Game 7 in NHL history. There was just 3 seconds to go. At 19:57, it is marked. That's the latest goal to tie a game in Game 7 history. Also, that was the 3rd longest Game 7 in NHL history. So a little nugget there and a fun fact for that one. And for the series overall, that was just the 12th time in a best-of-7 playoff series that the home team has won every single game. It has been such a back-and-forth series between Winnipeg and St. Louis, and it is such a difference between the two arenas, how well certain teams play where. The Jets taking care of business on home ice, the Blues racing out to blowout victories in their barn, and every time the home team got to their home arena, they ended up winning that game. Just incredible stuff. Lots of insanity coming from that series, and really the 2 games this weekend overall, and now the 2 winners of those Game 7s will meet in round 2. Some fun stuff to wrap up round 1, and we'll hope for more excitement in round 2. We'll see if the Golden Knights and Oilers can provide it for us as those 2 teams prepare to meet in Game 1 on Tuesday. That'll just about wrap things up for today's show. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to VGK today, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, as we'll be back every day throughout the Knights' 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run. Justin Russo signing off for VGK Today.